recording. Okay, got it. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate it. Okay, not just a para. We will go ahead here to the next. All right. Increasing student engagement. Our students. The students who are most engaged are the ones who think they matter to the teacher. Our students are important to us. Another admit here. Alrighty. So folks, the next slide, I'm not going to go into any more information. Whoops, I thought I heard a ding. Excuse me. I'm not going to go any further explanation, but we're going to watch a video, and then after that, we're going to go into breakout groups and discuss it.
This freaking lady go off on kids because they don't freaking get this crap. If you would just get up and teach them instead of handing them a freaking packet, yo. There's kids in here who don't learn like that. They need to learn face to face. You just get mad because I'm pointing out the obvious and you're too late. No, I'm not wasting your time. I'm telling you what you need to do. You want kids to come into your class? You want them to get excited for this? You got to come in here. You got to make them excited. You want a kid to change and start doing better? You got to touch his freaking heart. Can't expect a kid to change if all you do is just tell him. You gotta take this job serious. This is the future of this nation. And when you come in here, like you did last time, and make a statement about, oh, this is my paycheck. Indeed it is. But this is my country's future and my education.
Can you go outside, please?
But there's a limit. When I'm not bitching, but simply making an observation.
Okay.
And now I will leave. You're welcome. And if you would like, I'll teach you a little more so you can actually learn how to teach a freaking class. Because since I got here, I've done nothing but read packets. So don't try and take credibility for teaching me jack.
Just go. Bye.
Little bit. This freaking lady go off on kids.
All right. So these are the questions that we're going to talk about during our breakout. We're going to have 4 minutes to discuss. We'll come back together for another 4. What thoughts come to mind? What thoughts came to mind, excuse me, as you were watching that young man, as you were watching the video? Was he right? Why or why not? What, if anything, do you think should happen next? And be ready to share. Okay, I'm clicking breakout rooms. Anybody seeing anything?
Not yet.
Maybe I need to stop share to do that. All right, there we go. Hi.
Hi, I've got Kim in the other Zoom meeting. And then I have Patty emailing me, so I'll be right back.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Hi there.
Hi,
We
mine
ju-
went on my iPad, so,
sure. Well, we just broke up into breakout groups,
okay.
and
'Cause
we
mine kept
just
saying it was on black and it just kept saying, the host will let you in, the host will let you in, and it wouldn't, it never let me in.
sorry, it just dinged now. I don't know. I'm sorry about that.
So I just went on my phone instead. I just
Alrighty.
went on there and went on instead. So,
Yeah, I apologize. I don't know what
That's
happened there.
no, it's fine. I had trouble always with that before, so. So sometimes I always got on twice.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, one time I was on my iPad and on my iPhone.
Oh, wow. Double doing it, huh?
They were laughing at me that day, I guess. I heard.
Well, the video
No.
was hi Sandy. The video was a wild situation where a student in a classroom was frustrated with his teacher and passion. You know, he just seemed very passionate, but it
Uh-huh.
was something you really had to have seen in order to go into the breakout. Here,
Okay.
there's Brittany. And so we will just wait another minute, and then we can just listen to. It
Okay,
was
I can always watch the recording of it.
yes, please do,
Here, too.
because it's, yeah, and you'll
Okay.
see a little bit more about it too after this.
Okay.
Hi,
Okay.
Brittany, did Kim? Oh, I don't know where she went.
Yeah, it didn't like me for some reason this time.
That's
See, it didn't like me
frustrating.
either. It wouldn't let me on.
Won't let me on either. I'm like, okay, I'm sitting here pushing buttons pretty soon. And
Mine was just black and it said the host will let you on, and I'm sitting here and sitting here and sitting here.
me too. So I went all the way out and I tried again.
Well, thank you for trying again.
I've heard sometimes, yeah, you just gotta back all the way out and start all over new.
So that's why I thought, okay, so I just did it on my phone instead. Oh,
Well, nice to see you again. Both.
hi, Sandy. Yeah, I got my pie made too. I was going to take a picture of it and show everybody, but Andrea was leaving early.
Oh, wow.
So I just ran it into her instead, quick.
Ooh,
So she got it.
sounds delicious.
So I did get it made.
Excuse me for
I got my
interrupting.
flowers planted.
Yeah.
Morgan, do you know if Kim connected to the right one?
She said she got in. Let me look.
Sorry, I'm late. I had troubles getting connected.
Yeah, there's been a couple. Thank you for being diligent and keep trying. All right, I'm gonna go back to our screen here. Whoops, there's another one.
Hi, Patty.
I think that's probably Kim.
Hi.
Hi, Patty.
Hello.
All right. All right, who would like to volunteer some thoughts?
I will volunteer some. We
Alright.
thought, although the student may have been right, he definitely probably didn't approach it in the right way. Just from personal experience, I know I'm not a person you just give a packet to and say, here, do this. I like the interaction. If there's no passion, why do I have passion?
Mm-hmm.
And like, if anything, what do you think should happen next? Like, he's probably going to go to the principal, but I hope he's given a chance to explain why he felt this way or why he thinks a change needs to be brought about.
Definitely, yeah, there might be a more appropriate way to
Trying
verbalize.
to feel like it's
concern.
something really good.
Yeah, you're gonna see a little, those of you that are joining late, a little later, you're gonna see the continuation of this, but you might want to go in and see the video because it's worth, you know, that opportunity to see what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Kim, it says joining. Brittany's coming back in. I think out loud, sorry. All right, we're gonna, anyone else have any comments, thoughts?
We talked about like what happened before it was recorded. Like try to talk to the teacher about, you know, how he liking learning that way. He tried to talk to her. Like what happened before that it escalated that bad.
Yeah. If there's been a history or if it was just one big incident, it kind of sounded like there might have been some history. Something about packets. Yeah. All righty. Thank you for those of you that were sharing out and those of you that were participating during those discussions. Here is the next piece.
A YouTube video of a Duncanville High School student giving his history teacher a lesson has gone viral, and tonight has his district talking.
If you would just get up and teach them instead of handing them a freaking packet, yo. There's kids in here who don't learn like that. They need to learn face to face. You want kids to come into your class, you want them to get excited for this, you gotta come in here, you gotta make them excited. You want a kid to change and start doing better, you gotta touch his freaking heart. Can't expect a kid to change if all you do is just tell them.
Well, that video was posted this afternoon on our Facebook page, and Channel 8's Jason Whiteley tracked down that young man for us tonight. Jason?
I had dropped out for Jeff Bliss. He has no regrets. No, not at all. I believe that somebody needed to say this.
Get up and teach them.
What he told his teacher in his world history class on Monday has now been seen around the world, gone viral. I want to see a teacher stand up and interact with the student. All discuss, talk, question, and get deep into the subject.
The 90-second video begins after the teacher at Duncanville High School kicks him out of her class. Bliss told us he initially questioned why students did not have more time to prepare for the STAR test, but then he unloads on her style, critical of her passing out worksheets rather than creating lively and engaging discussions in the classroom.
You want to get excited for this, you got to come in here, you got to make them excited. You want a kid to change, start doing better, you got to touch his freaking heart.
Jeff's mother is a teacher, but the 18-year-old tells us he really discovered the value of education when he dropped out of school for a year.
And what I soon realized was without that education, I'm not going to make any step forward into my future.
Bliss says he didn't know a classmate recorded that rant, but he isn't embarrassed of what he said. Duncanville ISD says it is addressing this situation, and the district reiterated it wants both students and teachers to be engaging in the classroom, but the district says it thinks that Jeff Bliss likely could have expressed his concern in a more appropriate way. Bliss tells us the principal wants to meet with him on campus tomorrow. So far, he has not faced any reprimands. Reporting live in Duncanville, Jason Whiteley, Channel 8.
Well, we are hearing from hundreds of you reacting to Jeff's rant on our Facebook page. Tell us what you think about his outburst and the school's reaction. You can join the conversation on WFAA Channel 8's Facebook page. A YouTube video of a Duncanville High School student giving his history teacher a lesson has gone viral, and tonight has...
Let's stop there. There we go. It got a little squirrely there, but if you were listening, you could still hear the broadcast. Did you kind of, something was funky on my end of the video there at the end with the crayon?
I lost the video, but I could hear everything, but I can't see it.
I just have a black screen.
Correct.
Me too.
Yes.
With a little white line.
At what point did that happen?
In the middle of the video.
I got mine towards the end.
Okay. All
I
right.
was about halfway through.
Yeah, I got just a white line.
It quit showing him after a while, and then the broadcasters were talking. Is that where it was?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it just showed them with the screen, you know, like a broadcaster, and mainly it was just explaining the rest of the information, which you were all able to hear, correct?
Right.
Yep. Yeah, but now we can't see anything.
Yeah, it hasn't come back yet.
Your
Oh,
screen
now we
is
have a
black.
white line up.
Your screen is black
Right.
still?
Yes.
Yeah.
Black with
All right,
white
I'm gonna-
screen.
I'm going to stop sharing and come back. Why does this keep happening?
There we go.
All
I
right.
see you.
See, I still have a white strip on the side. Does everybody else have that?
I just see everyone's pictures.
Yeah, I just see everybody's picture.
Yep, now they're just bigger. I just see you. Hi, Melinda.
Me too.
Hi.
Patty.
How about now?
Black screen.
Black
screen.
Black screen.
All right. This happened the last time I did this. What I'm going to do, Brittany, is I will co-host with you. Let's see. I have to find you. I have done a couple of other Zooms and that hadn't happened to that degree again, but all right. So let me see, Brittany. I'm calling you.
Oh, Sawyer.
Morgan, it's Sawyer.
Sawyer's messing with everything.
Way to go, Sawyer.
All right, Brittany, could you please
Give them a smile.
screen share slide? Let's see, what are we on? 5.
Okay, there we go.
All right, thank you. Back to the focus of the video where he was explaining, they explained his mother was a teacher. He did not regret what happened. He didn't realize he was being recorded. Any comments? Anything additional you were thinking as you were listening to that piece?
I just thought it was kind of ironic that a teacher's kid dropped out of school for a year, but he actually realized the value of education and went back. I don't know. You don't hear many people who drop out and realize they screwed up and go back.
I agree with you. But I caught that he said about the teacher just handing him a worksheet and really not going into the explanation of, why are they getting this worksheet without going over like what they're doing. They should have an explanation of why are we getting the worksheet? What are they studying?
No.
Just do this worksheet is about what he ranted, I think, about.
It's like sounded to me the teacher didn't want to teach a class, just wanted to give out the paperwork and sit there, and there was no love. He wasn't feeling the love, the connection with the teacher.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think
He wanted the interaction.
And like being a teacher's kid, I guess I expect more out of a teacher.
Right? I would agree.
I agree. I see that at Westview, a lot of communication between the teachers and the students. I can't say I've ever seen them just hand them a packet and not have communication going on.
He was very passionate, that's for sure.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Brittany, thank you. All right, today's agenda, student engagement, multiple opportunities to respond, more opportunities to respond, and then positive versus negative feedback. Same expectations as we've had the other 5 modules. Please participate, show respect, remembering this isn't eventing, which, everyone has been very appropriate. Thank you. And then at the end, there's still that reflection piece, 3 things you learned, 2 action steps, and if you have any more questions. All right, you want to go on to the next? Thank you. All right, so this next piece is thinking back, because we're thinking about teachers and teaching, thinking back to a favorite teacher you had. The 3 areas we want you to, if you can identify one with your breakout group, their personality traits, what was it about them that really, that really hooked you? What kind of activities did they do that you truly enjoyed and you remember about that teacher, and anything else that comes to mind? So if you'd please share about that, we'll have 3 minutes again, and then we'll come back and share out. All right.
Nothing's happening.
All right, so then I need to plug you folks in. 7 unassigned. Sorry about that. That I haven't done before. Brittany, do you know how to have them join one? You know what? How about we just be one?
Okay,
That solves that.
sounds
Works for
good.
me.
All right. So tell me about your favorite teacher.
I actually had, I had more than one. I had a couple.
So did I.
Well, how about you pick one?
Go ahead, Sandy.
I think it was like my 6th grade teacher. He just built some confidence in me. I mean, he pushed me into doing this speech thing and took the time to just really work with me, and he made me feel like, whoa. I just enjoyed it.
Cool. So they were very encouraging to get you, that one person was to get you involved with speech, you said.
Yes. Just that, otherwise it was always the certain kids, but he just picked, it didn't matter. I mean, I always felt like I was just one of the other lost kids.
Oh.
It made me feel like I was important too.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Mine was a math teacher, Mr. Kleiss, Jim Kleiss from Orange City. And he was always encouraging me in math, and I always liked math. And I even tell the kids yet to this day in math classes how I enjoyed him. And I still remember on one of my math classes in high school, he come up to me. It was one of the semester tests. He come and he says, "You got an A on your test." He had to come in, and he come and whispers to me. He said how good I did. And he was so proud of me. And his brother taught in Sioux Center when I went there for just a part of a year when we moved out here from Wisconsin, and he also taught math. But, I mean, and he made me to like math extra special always. Just, and it's something like that kind of sticks with you, and you try and get other kids to like math a little more. Because math is something you're always going to use in life, no matter what.
Yep.
You're right.
So you try and get kids, I think, I do anyway, to at least learn
Give it a try.
something in math. Yep, give it a try. The same with art. I loved my art teacher in school, and they always encouraged me. Even though the kids, how they say they don't like art. I always say, hey, you can always do something with art.
Yep. And you can be yourself in art.
Right. There's no right or wrong in art.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I like that about art too.
Neat thing to point out about that. Thank you. All right, folks, we're going to rejoin in about a minute here. Carlton, Kim, was there anything you wanted to add since we got just a few seconds to, could you think of a teacher?
I was gonna say Barbara Derby from Akron. She was the food teacher. My junior and senior year of high school, I had to drive my mom to work to Haywarden. We lived in Akron. And eventually she could see how distressed because I was always late every morning, always late, at least a few minutes. I'd drive my mom to work. My mom smoked cigarettes too, so I'd always go into the office smelling like cigarettes, and the receptionist gave me the hardest time. She made my high school life miserable, threatening me with detention all the time because I'm late, and saying, "Nope, you're late because you're out smoking cigarettes."
Oh, geez.
I'm driving my mom, trying to be a responsible kid, but eventually she was like, "Don't even go to the office. If you're gonna be 3 minutes late, don't even go to the office. Just come to me because I know I trust you." I think she would see me driving towards Haywarden when she would come into town or something. But I think just how understanding she was. So she was a great, academic teacher. It was foods and sewing and stuff. So, more life skills than academic stuff. She was a great teacher, but it was more of that connection that made our relationship so much more special, and why I feel to this day she's still my favorite teacher, and I only had her for 2 years.
Wow, yeah, definitely. She was great. And then
little things like that I feel make so much more of a difference than what how great they are teaching academically. Because I mean,
That can
sometimes,
be huge.
Yep.
in my situation, I did well in school and high school for the most part, to where I didn't give them any issues to have other problems. But yeah, it was an issue, and she was just like, I trust you. So that was huge on why I thought she was the greatest teacher.
Definitely. That's a cool story, Carlton.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing
Yep.
that with us. That's really touching. That's
Yep.
awesome. Wow. Well, all right, folks, we've rejoined. Did anyone else have something they'd like to share about a favorite teacher?
I
I
don't
was
know.
gonna say that I had one of my favorites was Mrs. Baronic, and coincidentally, my daughter Isabella had Mrs. Baronic too. So when I told Bella that, she's like, "Well, is
I
she?"
did too.
And I'm like, "Yeah, she's awesome." So when Bella started going to third grade and she was Mrs. Baronic, she said, "You're right. She is so nice. She cares about you and everything." And that's what I remember about her. Like, she always cared about you, no matter what you're going through. She made you feel special. She encouraged you. She never made you feel dumb if you asked a question. I mean, she was always just there and was engaged with you. And she did that with Bella, and I just thought that was the awesomest thing.
That is cool. I have a connection too. My daughter had Sherilyn, and I know because I was a teacher, Kelsey always stayed after, and hung out with me till I was ready to go home. And Sherilyn would, Kelsey she struggled a little bit with math. And so Sherilyn would have her stay after and work on the whiteboard. And she really did. She took that extra time to do that. And that's so appreciated. And their hearts in it. Definitely. That's cool. Ready to go on, folks? All right. Thank you, Brittany. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was muted. I was gonna say one more thing, at least about Akron. Kent Johnson and Mike Baker are phenomenal teachers from Akron as well in the high school. If you guys don't know them, yeah, they're great teachers. Some might argue otherwise, but they're good. They're very personable. It helped us out for football with Kent, but he was the coach, so.
Cool. Yeah, maybe Tish or Tanya too have connections. I'm not sure if those people are still teaching or not. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure both of those guys are at Akron. Colleen Westergaard's a phenomenal teacher. Akron has some good staff.
The PE teacher used to be good there. Mrs. Krause.
I didn't have her.
You didn't? Okay.
No, she's been before. I didn't go to Akron until my sophomore year.
Okay.
I went to West Sioux until end of fourth grade.
All righty. Cool. Thanks for sharing. So our next slide talks about student engagement, how to engage students. So really they're wanting you gotta have a hook. Be super entertaining all the time. Teach only super entertaining material, or go out and get them, hook them, teach them. And doing that would be exhausting. It isn't exhausting. It shouldn't be that exhausting. And we can do that by giving the students multiple opportunities to respond. It's not about being entertaining all the time. All right, Brittany, thank you. So how do you hook the students you work with? What are some easy hooks that you could use before you start with a student? Maybe reviewing a lesson, studying for a test, assisting the student with a project or homework, even correcting, which I'd like a little bit of feedback on that part. How do you hook with students and that correcting piece? We are going to break out again, and those of you that weren't in a group will just be in one together again. So I'll set up that. We'll break out and talk about the hooks, please.
Okay, the one for the for testing or for a test studying. The kids just loved it when in Miss Mosier's class, when they would have the trash ball. And they would go around, they roll, and then they would have to answer questions And then, if the team that got the right answer, they get to throw the ball and try and get it in the bucket. She had a ball made out, up of, I can't remember if she had it made out of what she had made up anyway, but they had to throw a ball and try and get it in the trash can.
Cool.
And you got points and, from where you stood. And Mr. Garcia also did a deal like that. He had that in math class too, study for their math tests. And the kids really looked forward to that.
Cool.
And Mr. Strong does a deal like that kind of too. They call a thing, too. So some of those the kids look forward to.
Mr. Strong did some sort of a game on the computer or on their iPads.
Yeah,
and then they'd click in their answers as competing against each other.
Oh, Kahoot.
Yes.
Kahoot, yeah.
Around the world.
They love that. They love that. And you could see that they were remembering because they were trying really hard. You could see them doing it.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Kahoot is really cool how they can do that with the iPads. I love that thing.
Definitely. And
I do
just
too.
a side note, you can do it at home. Like I've got Chromecast, or you get on your iPads. You can do it at home with your family if you want. They've got Disney and all kinds of stuff. But it's fun.
That's neat.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
have a hard time getting here. Trying to figure.
Sandy.
games definitely are motivating.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I love games, but
Learning games especially.
Anytime you can trick them into thinking they're not learning with games when they actually are, they do phenomenal with that.
Yep.
Anyone?
Miss Yvonne did a game too with math where she'd form 2 lines and then there was baskets, and if you made a basket, then she gave you the math problem first, and if you got it wrong, then the opposing team got a chance at it, and you just went through your line, and the line to get finished first was the winner. And it was, I just thought it was amazing because it involved all the kids. I mean, some of the kids that don't get all the cheering on, they really got cheered on, and it made them feel good. So it involved everybody.
Definitely.
On the
That's
same
cool.
level.
Kim, what teacher was that?
Mrs. Laban.
Okay. Cool. Neat.
And I know in Miss Sadow's class, she used to do it too with the kids, and it did all of them. They'd have 2 lines, and she did it with like addition problems and that, or even subtraction. She would have, and she would hold it up, and the kid that got the answer right for, they would get a point or so between the 2 lines, and it would be the simpler problems. So it really, it involved all the kids, but it helped them to go through their addition and subtraction problems or whatever. And you could use it even with their like spelling words to see who got the word first, or any of their words that they were going through that they had.
Yeah, she did spelling when I was in there.
You could do different words or whatever. You could use different things. So
I don't mean to interrupt. I've got to bring us back here. I was just thinking, when you're doing spelling, even Sparkle can be fun.
That's the name of it. I couldn't remember the name.
Yeah, we play that in Mr. Kaiser's room.
Yeah.
I did Hangman with different kids too, and they loved that with any of the kids. So
cool.
I would always tell MC, make sure I'm not muted. I'd always tell my kid, like, hey, if you do a spelling pretest with me, I'll give you an extra B ticket for trying, so hard. And that was a good, way to hook him into kind of, practicing more. It didn't work every time. So other times he was like, I don't care. So there's times where I knew ones that he would struggle with. I would tell him there's 8 words, and I knew he'd only probably get maybe 2 or 3 of them. That every one you get right, you get all 8 right, you'll get 8 tickets. And he got 4 the one time, and I thought he was only going to get 1. So I gave him 4 tickets. I try to not, get it to where I'm giving him a whole bunch. I want him to earn them, But those blue tickets for, you know, the special needs ones, or the ones that have some accommodations, whatever. Even the general ed ones. I mean, that's a pretty big incentive for those.
Yeah, it's good that it can work at least some of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I know it helped him on one of them because he struggled on the pre-test. We did it again the next day. He got a blue ticket, and yeah, I mean, you could see the progress. I mean, it was there within the pre-test, so it helped. My phone dropped.
Yeah.
Watch when you're driving.
I'm not looking at my phone. Just talking. It's hands free. I mean, except we're on the wheel.
Okay.
Our group
my clock at work fell off the wall, and they put it back up without correcting the time because it sat there for 20 minutes, and so that's why I was about 20 minutes late. So I was looking at the clock on the wall, thinking, "Oh, I got time," and yeah, then I looked at my phone, and I'm like, "The meeting's been going for like 10 minutes now. I got to get going." But now I'm parked at least.
So with our group, the hooks that we talked about were, you know, just the incentives of doing learning and practicing for a test or something through games. That was a big thing. If anybody wanted to share, go ahead.
I did like with EL, because like I have like all the kids that come to EL. So I always did like be excited to be there. Like what I was going to teach was exciting. Just how they would kind of be excited to learn about what we were learning about for that week.
Cool. We talked about like finding something they're interested in so you can relate. Like my student is all about Paw Patrol. If I can relate something towards Paw Patrol, instant hook. If I can make it seem like it's something cool, he's in.
I don't know who that is, but that's what I did too in ELL with the kids when they come in to get interested. I'd ask them what they're in their lives and see if I could relate it to that, and it usually worked. They'd get excited about it.
Good. Yeah, that was Leslie. Good, neat. I know some of the games mentioned were like Kahoot was one that the kids really get engaged in. Crash Ball. Apple was spelling. Those were some of the things mentioned. The sound effects.
Rochelle, you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
Nope. Okay, I'm good. All right. If we were ready to move on, then go ahead, Brittany, and you can continue on with the next slide.
Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? Am I on mute?
Yep, you're good.
Okay.
I can hear you, Brittany.
All right. So we'll go over some examples for multiple opportunities to respond. So some examples are, what page did I say? Put your finger on. Raise your hand if you think you know the answer. Raise your green card if you agree. Your red card if you disagree. Write down the answer to this one on your paper. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Think, pair, share. Move to a section of the room that corresponds to your answer, and whiteboards. And we'll watch, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe 5 minutes of this video and kind of discuss the.
Can I jump in here real quick and just add something to that?
What's up?
Well, one thing that's super important for kids at all of our ages is making sure that the kids have the correct wait time that they need. So some of our kids take a while to process the question, and then they have to think about the question, think about the response, and then they can respond. I've noticed some paras, some teachers, I've even noticed myself doing it, the kid is asked a question, and then the adult jumps in and answers for them. Well, the child most likely is still trying to process, come up with an answer. So make sure you give that time, or that child, plenty of time to think before you jump in.
That's good. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and add that asterisk to it too, to the slide. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, the first question is, what is 3/18 in simplest form? Okay, you can enter your answers. The answer was D, 1/6. So it looks like 23 out of 26 of us got it correct.
Okay, how do you know if 26 is prime? Well, I look at the last number first to see if it's even or odd, and if it's even, I know 2 can at least go into it, so it's not prime. And is 24 48? How can you find the equivalent fraction? Well, you can multiply or divide by the same number. You have to divide and multiply by the same number, so it can be worth the same amount of fraction.
Let's read that first line, and I'm going to leave a word out and you see if you can figure out which one it is. Here we go. Let's read together. This is a herd of triceratops. What did I leave out there?
Herd.
Very good. Everybody touch the word herd. Let's spell it. H-E-R-D.
Okay, class, our question to get out the door today is I'm going to give you a word. You tell me yes or no if it is a noun. Okay, if it's a noun, then you say yes. If it's not a noun, then you say
No.
Backtrack.
Hi.
Coat.
Yes. No.
Said.
No.
Glasses.
Yes. Low. I meant medium.
Okay, all right, Caleb, give us our next category.
Animals 15.
A, C, or C?
So.
Okay, just for time's sake, I'm gonna pause it there at 5 minutes. So let's go into discussion as a whole group. What are some ways you can provide opportunities to respond? Anybody want to share out?
I think it would be helpful, and like if the teachers know we're going to be doing an answer session, you know, maybe to give us paras, the questions for like, or that they're going to be asking, so maybe we can go ahead and maybe ask our child, because like Morgan had said, giving them enough time to respond.
Very good, Kim.
Yeah, when I was in with Missy Sadoff, sometimes I would make eye contact. She would know my student would know the answer, so she would call on her. We just kind of had a cue that she would know, and then she could call on my student.
Good, Sandy.
Sandy, I kind of had that with Miss Chaffin. I would just do a nod if I knew my student knew it, so she would know that he was ready to be called on, and that way he didn't feel put on the spot or like not ready to give an answer.
Right, because she would tell me, or I mean, if it was something we had talked about, she knew it. So just having that connection.
Anybody else want to share? Are we ready to move on? Okay. Up and moving. All right. What are some ways you can get students up and moving for opportunities to respond? And how can some of these strategies be modified for older students? Michelle, would you like to have us do breakout groups? Or for time's sake, should we just stay in one? What do you think?
I'm ready to if you want to, or we can just
let's just stay in one whole group.
Sure.
So what are some ways you can get students up and moving for opportunities to respond? And how can we modify that for the older kids?
I know we use like a number system. So on like one area of the wall, it's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, or A, B, and C. And you have them go to whichever corner they think their answer should be.
Thanks for sharing.
We did in EL, since our room was so small, we did a lot of like around the world. Then like, you know, that way we could kind of move around each other, but still have enough room.
Good. Any ideas for people who work with the older kids?
This isn't necessarily older, but I think just kind of getting the, kids in different groups, does that too. Different types of lab, say for like science stuff, breaking them out, getting different stations, versus having everybody huddled around the teacher learning. That way everybody can get their, get more hands-on and have more, station type learning would be, I guess, kind of responding. I mean, responding to each other, I guess, having like discussions about, Miss Bruns did a really good job of that last year, getting out in groups and kind of letting the groups almost lead themselves in a way and talk amongst themselves. And then she would check in at each station. So she did really good at that.
Good deal.
Or if you kind of put them in groups, put them with other students in the class that they maybe worked good with, someone that they could, do with, not one of them that they didn't, more or less, because sometimes some of the kids they didn't get along so good with in the, in the class. So they didn't want to work with them. And some kids they would work with, and the kids in the class would really help them a lot more. With things too. That really helped a lot, especially in my case anyway.
Thanks for sharing. All right, so some forms of acknowledgement or verbal praise, access to privilege. So use things that already exist. You could use first, then. Public acknowledgement. This is not for every kid. Just for those who really like it. And then the token reinforcement, really give them the B tickets if they like that. All right, so why don't we stay as a group and we'll talk about, do you think you spend more time acknowledging, praising, or correcting? Why? How could you improve your positive to negative feedback? What about the adults you work with? Do you acknowledge or praise them for the work that they do? How could you improve on that?
What I learned in the autism training that I took last year is I was always, I'm a little bit perfectionist, so when my student would make an error, I would correct it in front of him instead of going back and reteaching it later. So like with his task boxes, I have to teach it and then he does it on his own. And then I'd pull it away. And if I see errors, I have to go back and reteach it again. Instead of taking apart his work and correcting it in front of him. Because then he feels, well, I did all that work and now you're you're destroying my work.
Very good.
Yeah, that's a great example. That's a great training, and you can use that with other areas too.
Yes.
I know I spend way more time like acknowledging and praising just because personal experience. I know I do better if I'm told more positive things and then like always do positive and then be like, you know, we need to work on this, but sandwich it in. Positive, positive. This is what we need to work on. And then, but we're doing great at this. I'm so proud of you for this. I always am more positive.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Thank you. And how can we improve? Maybe just take a step back and be a little more mindful of our feedback. Sometimes it's easier said than done, but anyone else?
I think days go by like that, like, you know, they're having a bad day and then all of a sudden you're, you know, halfway through the day and you realize I've said no today more than I've said yes, you know, or I've said, you know, it's been like I've been after him like that everything was wrong rather than focusing on the right. And then you kind of just have to stop and consciously turn that around when you realize you're doing it. I think every now and then it's like we do it and we don't realize we do it. And then we just have to turn it around.
Definitely. All right, so effective instructors build relationships, have clear goals and communicate to the students, have a high rate of student responses, give multiple opportunities for students to experience engaging practice with high rates of success and positive teacher acknowledgements, start with a super easy engagement to get them with you before you work up to deeper thinking, engage the students, space out the practice and give positive feedback. All right, so there was a worksheet that went along with this, but we can play a thumbs up, thumbs to the side, thumbs down game, or you can just keep track of it in your head if you don't feel comfortable doing either. So as far as building relationships, do you think you're pretty good at it? Are you a superstar at it? Or are you a rising star at it, or a budding star? All right. Have clear goals and communicate them to students. Have a high rate of student responses. Give multiple opportunities for students to experience engaging practice with high rates of success and positive teacher acknowledgements. Start with a super easy engagement to get them with you before you work up to deeper thinking. Engage the students. Space out the practice. give positive feedback. All right, very good. Thanks for participating, guys. And we changed a little bit of the communication with families and with parents, so we can go over some of these. So all forms of contact, including communication logs, go through the gen ed and or SPED teacher. Please ensure that the teacher is aware of notes specifics being sent home. Use the school email, use the school telephone. When parents have any questions, please have them contact the general and or special education teacher. These expectations also go for teachers. These para expectations discourage the use of personal devices, cell phones, electronic media accounts, personal Gmail accounts, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, for the purpose of appropriate boundaries and professionalism concerning school and student issues. These are for the interest of the student, therefore confidentiality, and keep WESU staff on the same page. So your homework is to summarize 3 things you learned, 2 action steps, and a question that you have. I can also include this on the reflection if you'd like. It just, it's another video on opportunities to respond if you guys would like. We didn't have time to really watch it in the slides today, so. All right, any questions? Have a good afternoon, guys.
Happy summer.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.
Okay, bye guys. Have a good summer.
You too.
Yep,
Thank you.
Enjoyed doing it. Thanks for doing it.
Yes, thank you as well for putting this on.
Yeah, super helpful. I think everybody probably got at least a little bit of something out of it. So I sure did.
As did I.
Right.
I did too.
Bye.
We did too.
Oh, thank you.
Bye.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Now I gotta get out.
Brittany, can I talk to you just for 1 sec?
Sure.
Will you stop sharing your screen so I can see your face?
Oh, you can't see my face. Okay.
Thanks.
I'll
I just